Hey guys, Kevin with MCrider, where we focus on road skills and road strategy to help make you a better rider. This week on MCrider, let's talk about one of the most fundamental skills you can develop on a motorcycle, braking. We're going to look at how riders often get it wrong, what happens when they do get it wrong, and most importantly, how you can get it right. We'll wrap up with some tips you can take to the parking lot to practice safe, effective braking. So let's start with some common mistakes that I see all the time, favoring one brake over the other. You know, some riders say I only use the rear brake, while others brag that they only use the front brake. Well, both of those approaches miss the mark. Your motorcycle has two brakes for a reason. Each one has a specific job, and using them together is where real stopping power and control come from. So let's look at some examples of relying on the rear brake only. So here's a rider who is relying on his rear brake only. You can tell he's using the rear brake and he's got it locked up because of the smoke that's pouring off of that rear tire. Also, road strategy and road skills play hand in hand. I'm not sure why you would select that lane when he's got vehicles stopped on the right-hand side of the road. A much better road strategy would have been to move over to that left-hand lane, giving him more time to react to what's going on around him. Also, you want to notice that his stopping distance is extended because he's using only the rear brake and he's only got about 30% of his stopping power because of his brake choice here. Here's a classic example of a rear brake lockup causing the rider to slide out to the side. When he releases that rear brake, it causes a high side, which can be a very dangerous crash because of his improper use of braking. Also, road strategy probably played into this, not looking far enough up the road and being able to stop within the distance he could clearly see up the road also contributed to this crash. All right, let's move on from there. We'll look at some examples of relying on the front brake only. So here's a rider in the new rider class who locks the front brake up while practicing quick stops or emergency braking. Now, traveling at these speeds, you've really got to squeeze on that front brake or grab that front brake in order to get that tire to lock up. So that progressive squeeze, even at lower speeds, is important. You want to progressively squeeze on that brake in order to load the front tire up before you ask maximum braking pressure of it. But I want you to notice something else that happens after this rider locks the tire up. He puts his left foot down in order to try to save the crash. That's generally a bad idea because you're not going to keep that motorcycle upright, but you're very likely to break your foot, your ankle, or your leg when that motorcycle falls on top in that abrupt stop with all of that weight on your leg. So it's better to keep your feet on the pegs and allow the bike to do what it's going to do, but that's going to offer more protection for your feet and legs in the crash. This video is a good example of how road strategy and road skills come together. You want to practice emergency braking and you need to be able to stop your motorcycle in an emergency, but one of our key road strategy techniques is to be able to stop within the distance you can see clearly up the road. Notice what the rider has done to himself right here. So notice at this point how far our rider can see up the road. You know, maybe 5 to 10 feet. So his lane position and his following distance contribute to his lack of skills to get that motorcycle to a stop, making it much harder for him to get the motorcycle to a stop, and just watch how that costs him when something unexpected happens up the road. Now let's head out to a parking lot and we'll look at some braking practice, and you can see some runs that I do on my motorcycle when I'm practicing emergency braking. If you're new to emergency braking and want to get a feel for how each brake affects stopping distance, do some runs at about 15 to 20 miles per hour and stop using each brake individually. Practice low speed stops using just the rear brake to understand its effect and limitations. Then try a few stops using just the front brake and feel the weight and transfer to get comfortable with modulating the pressure on that front brake. Once you understand how each brake affects stopping distance, then you can practice stopping with both brakes as you should out on the street. So here's some key points when you're practicing on a parking lot. You want to keep your head and eyes up, looking across the parking lot, not down at the front tire or the controls. Use your knees to hold on to the tank. You want to squeeze the clutch as you progressively squeeze the front brake. It's important, don't grab that front brake, but apply gentle progressive squeeze to that front brake. You want some time for that front tire to get loaded and planted into the pavement before you apply maximum braking pressure. Apply gentle pressure to the rear brake, downshifting to first gear while you're coming to a stop. Come to a complete stop with the handlebars straight and your left foot going down first. So why should your left foot go down first in an emergency stop? Because you're still using that right brake or your right foot on the rear brake to finish that stop out or to complete the stop. You want maximum braking all the way through the stop. So if you've got a copy of the field guide, there are exercises starting on page 16 that's got what we talked about here today and other exercises that focus specifically on braking and how you can practice these on your own on any open parking lot. There are a ton more resources available to members of MCrider, like access to the forums where you can ask questions from other riding instructors and expert riders, a digital field guide which is accessible on any device so you can have it with you no matter where you are. And with other levels of membership, you can get a free printed version of the field guide or the road strategy guide, either one you want. You can get ad-free videos and more. All the details on becoming a member can be found at mcrider.com/member, or you can order both of my books at mcrider.com/books, and you're surely to find something in there that will help your road skills and your road strategy. Till next week, guys, it's Kevin with MCrider, and I'll see you on the road. If you enjoyed this video, please consider becoming a member of MCrider. You get access to the forums and the field guide and a whole lot more. All the details can be found at mcrider.com/member.